Hey folks, how you doing? We're talking about rebuilding a person, okay? The type of person a person want to become, or a type of persons that others might want a person to become. But anyway, the person can be rebuilt, okay? And in ancient times, okay, the ancient Egyptian priests, okay, rebuilt people, okay? People who were to become priests themselves. And so the ancient Egyptian priest said, well, what we have to do is take away from this person what he has, talking about his personality. You have to change the personality to rebuild the person, actually. You know what I mean? Now, we know that when a child's born in the world, well, like the first 7 years of his life, sort of determines the way he's going to be throughout his life. Okay? But so here's what the Kemites did. They was aware of all this, and they used it, okay, for all that they could get out of it, okay? So they would take a person now who's going to become a priest, and they wiped clean his personality, okay? The person would actually go back to his babyhood, okay? He was mentally, he was like a child. He still had his physical feature, but he was like a child, a baby. He had to learn how to talk again. He had to learn how to go to the bathroom. He had to learn how to eat. He had to learn everything all over again. And they took him all the way back. And then they had to rebuild him. Okay? And so they did. They taught him how to do everything that a human would have to do. Okay? But they needed a person, like I say, a priest. They needed someone who's going to be loyal to the Pharaoh, loyal to the country, loyal to the temple, and loyal to the people. Okay? They needed someone who would not desert them and run off with the secrets of the temple. So they needed a faithful person. And they created the first faithful people, okay, in the name of the priests. So it was the priests who were called the truly living, you see, because they were taught that they would not live the earthly life, the good time life. They wouldn't seek the pleasures as ordinary people do. They were beyond that, okay, because they were beyond, let's say, the control that their passions would have over them. So they weren't very emotional people. The priests weren't, okay. And so they were actually rebuilt. We take into consideration the reproductive organ. We take into consideration the spinal column or the backbone. We take into consideration the brain. And we take into consideration the skin, the all-important skin, from which we absorb our sunlight, etc. Okay? So anyway, folks, this is how the folks rebuilt folks to become priests. They took them back to childhood. You see. So when Scripture says something about God will take care of the children and so forth and so on, this is who we're talking about. We're talking about those people who are taking back to childhood. They were the children spoken of in the Scriptures. When they say God will take care of the children. You see what I mean? This is what they're talking about. But all this comes out in Scripture. And all this comes out in the mythology. The Scripture is mythology. You see what I mean? And all this is in the hieroglyphic writings. The first Scripture, the hieroglyphic writings. learn to understand them. Okay? Understanding them will take you a long ways. All religions on this planet have roots in the Kemetite writings, the hieroglyphic writings. They're called the Medu Neter, or the sacred word. Thank you, folks.